You've probably heard the names by now: Wolverine, GLOW, and KLOW. They sound like superhero protocols. And in the peptide world, that's pretty much how people talk about them. But here's the problem: most people are just stacking vials because they saw a reel or a Reddit post, with zero idea what each peptide actually does, how they interact, or where the risks might be. Hi, this is Kirk with the Wellness Elevation channel. So in this video, I want to slow things down and think like a scientist, not a supplement junkie. We'll break down what the Wolverine stack is, BPC 157 plus TB 500, how GLOW builds on that with GHK-Cu, how KLOW adds KPV on top, and why that matters, where the research actually is, animal, preclinical, a bit of human data, and some pros and cons of putting all of this into one vial. None of this is medical advice. These are theoretical, research-focused stacks. But if you're trying to understand why people talk about them the way they do, this is your breakdown. Peptides are short chains of amino acids, the same building blocks that make up proteins, designed to act as highly targeted messengers inside the body. Unlike bulky proteins, peptides are small and precise, allowing them to bind to specific receptors and trigger very specific biological responses, such as repairing tissue, reducing inflammation, improving cellular energy, or supporting hormone balance. Think of them like tiny instruction notes the body uses to communicate. When a peptide arrives at a cell, it tells that cell exactly what job to perform: build, heal, regenerate, activate, or calm down, making peptides powerful tools for influencing healing, performance, and longevity pathways. Think of your body as a huge construction site. DNA is the blueprint library. Hormones are the project managers. And peptides are like little text messages telling different crews what to do and where to go. So instead of a blunt pharmaceutical sledgehammer that forces one pathway, peptides are more like instruction sets, nudging your own biology to repair, regulate, and rebuild. So the Wolverine stack, made up of BPC 157 plus TB 500, the Wolverine stack is the classic combo everyone hears about first.
This could change everything.
It's talked about as the heal everything combo, especially for tendons, ligaments, muscle strains, and nagging injuries. Now, the first peptide of Wolverine, BPC 157, or you can think of it as the local architect. BPC 157 is a gastric-derived peptide, originally isolated from stomach juice in animal research, that's been studied mostly in rodent models for tendon and ligament healing, gut lining repair, nerve protection, with some vascular and brain effects. In an Achilles tendon rupture rat model, BPC 157 sped up tendon healing and improved functional recovery compared to controls. Mechanistically, it seems to boost angiogenesis, new blood vessel growth, by interacting with VEGF and VEGFR signaling. It may also support nitric oxide signaling, which improves local blood flow. Common issues people theoretically look at BPC 157 for: tendinitis or tendinopathy, partial tears, shoulder, elbow, knee, Achilles, gut irritation, ulcers, leaky gut type complaints, general fast track soft tissue recovery based on animal data, not robust human trials. The second peptide of Wolverine is TB 500, a thymosin beta 4 fragment. You can think of it as the cellular formin. TB 500 is a fragment of thymosin beta 4, TB4, a naturally occurring peptide found in many tissues, especially where there's injury. In the literature, most of the real data is on full-length TB4, not TB 500 itself. TB 500 has been shown in animal models to improve wound healing, increase angiogenesis, new blood vessels, support cardiac repair after heart injury. Mechanistically, TB 500 regulates actin, a structural protein that controls cell migration and tissue remodeling. Think of TB 500 as the foreman that mobilizes cells, organizes the scaffolding, and helps the repair crews move into the damaged area faster. Issues people theoretically aim at TB 500 for: more global or systemic soft tissue recovery, multi-site aches and pains, post-surgical healing support based on animal preclinical data. Here is some common research style dosing when it comes to BPC 157. In self-experimenter circles, you'll often see 250 to 500 micrograms once or twice daily sometimes localized around an injury site for TB500. 2 to 5 milligrams per week, split into multiple injections, is widely reported. However, in blends like Wolverine, you'll see around 500 micrograms per day of each. This is because the vial is very often dosed at 10 milligrams of BPC 157 and 10 milligrams of TB 500 in a multi-peptide vial. Dosing like this will mean the vial will last approximately 20 days. In my opinion, this is a good starting dose for those who are looking at this stack more for mild general repair. It is reported that for those with specific acute injuries, higher doses are used, and I have heard of dosing at 3 to 5 milligrams per day of one or both is common. Again, this is how people talk about it in research and underground communities with variations. So why do people like the Wolverine combo? We will go back to the analogy. BPC 157 is the architect plus city planner who says we need more blood supply here, more nutrients, more oxygen, build the roads. TB 500 is the foreman and logistics manager who says we need to move the repair crews in, reorganize the scaffolding, rebuild the structure. Together, in theory, you get better blood flow, faster cell migration, more coordinated tissue repair. Are there concerns with Wolverine? Is angiogenesis a double-edged sword? The same signals that help heal an injured tendon or ulcer can theoretically also support unwanted tissue growth, like tumors, in the wrong context. This is theoretical risk extrapolated from the biology, not proven in large human trials, but it's something many cautious clinicians think about and others would argue is not possible. The data is mostly animal-based. There are lots of rat and mouse studies. Human data is very limited and often small, uncontrolled, or cosmetic adjacent, rather than musculoskeletal. Dosing is guesswork in humans. Most protocols are reverse engineered from animal data, anecdotes, and opinion. There's no FDA-approved musculoskeletal indication for BPC 157 or TB 500 in the US. Although there is tons and tons of anecdotal reports on how these have greatly helped in speedy recoveries.
If you check the description, you won't see affiliate links, promo codes, or anything I'm trying to sell you. I'm doing this because I genuinely believe people deserve better information about peptides, metabolic health, and longevity. If this content brings you value or helps you think differently about your health, please take a second to subscribe, like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, or drop a comment below. It really helps the channel grow, and it lets me keep making more of this content for you. Thank you.
Okay, let's go over GLOW, which is Wolverine plus GHK-Copper. GLOW is BPC 157 and TB 500 plus GHK-Copper. This is where you add structure plus beauty plus deeper gene signaling to the repair process. Let's think of GHK-Copper as the head librarian, and remodeler GHK-Copper is a tripeptide, glycine, histidine, lysine, bound to copper. It was originally discovered in human plasma and is known to decline significantly with age. Some research highlights are it being shown to improve wound healing and tissue regeneration in animal models, modulate gene expression related to repair, antioxidant defenses, and anti-inflammatory pathways. In cosmetic human trials, GHK-Copper creams have improved skin appearance, elasticity, and fine lines versus placebo, though these were administered subdermally and not subcutaneously. Mechanistically, GHK-Copper seems to act like a master signal, turning on sets of genes involved in collagen and elastin production, glycosaminoglycans, extracellular matrix, antioxidant enzymes, and wound healing cascades, common issues people theoretically use GHK-Copper for, skin quality, thinner skin, wrinkles, texture, general anti-aging support, scar remodeling, hair quality, hair density, systemic recovery and healing support based on preclinical data. Now, let's go over the typical systemic research dosing patterns. Many protocols talk about 1 to 2 milligrams per day systemically. The typical GLOW vial contains 50 milligrams GHK-Copper total, designed for 2.5 milligrams per day for 20 days, paired with 500 micrograms each of BPC 157 and TB 500. Some more aggressive voices talk about 2 to 5 milligrams per day and a 5 days on and 2 days off protocol as a long-term base. Again, That's opinion, not validated clinical guidance. Now for the GLOW analogy, from basic repair to remodel and upgrade. If Wolverine is the emergency repair crew that comes in to stabilize the building, GLOW is what happens when you bring in the architect, BPC 157, the foreman, TB 500, and now the head librarian and master designer, GHK-Copper, BPC 157, opens the roads and drives blood flow. TB 500 moves the crews and rebuilds the scaffolding. GHK-Copper redesigns the blueprints, remodels collagen, elastin, and the extracellular matrix so the new tissue is stronger, healthier, and more youthful on a microscopic level. So where Wolverine is often framed as help this injury heal faster, GLOW gets framed more like repair and remodel skin, soft tissue, maybe even systemic anti-aging support. Concerns with GLOW, copper and dose. Too much copper systemically can be toxic in theory, so people pay attention to zinc balance, liver health, and cycling, even though GHK-Copper in the literature is generally well tolerated. Still mostly preclinical for systemic use. We have real human data for cosmetic skin use. Systemic high-dose GHK-Cu for longevity regeneration is mostly extrapolation from cell-animal work, plus anecdote. Now KLOW, which is GLOW plus KPV. Now we take it one more step and add inflammation control into the mix. KLOW is a 4-in-1 of BPC 157, TB 500, GHK-Copper plus KPV. KPV is an anti-inflammatory and gut-focused fragment. KPV is a tripeptide, lysine, proline, and valine, a fragment of alpha MSH, one of the body's key anti-inflammatory hormones. Some research, mostly preclinical, suggests KPV has been shown to inhibit NF-κB and MAPK inflammatory signaling pathways, reduce pro-inflammatory cytokines like TNF-A, IL-1V, and IL-6 in models of gut and skin inflammation, improve outcomes in rodent colitis models, promoting mucosal healing and reducing damage, show antimicrobial effects against pathogens like Staph aureus in Candida in lab settings. Issues people theoretically use KPV for: gut inflammation, IBD-type symptoms, colitis models, skin inflammation, dermatitis, psoriasis models, general systemic inflammatory burden, synergy with BPC 157 for GI repair. Okay, let's go over the typical research dosing patterns. In blends like KLOW, you often see 500 micrograms of KPV per daily systemic dose. Like GLOW, there is 10 milligrams of KPV, just like BPC 157 and TB 500, along with the 50 milligram GHK-Copper vial. So that would be 500 micrograms per day for 20 days. Isolated KPV experiments in humans are not well standardized. Most dosing talk is still theoretical or extrapolated from animal models. Now the KLOW analogy, full stack repair with the noise turned down, put it all together. BPC 157 opens blood flow, signals repair. TB 500 moves cells, reorganizes structural scaffolding. GHK-Copper remodels collagen, ECM, and flips on gene programs for regeneration and antioxidant defense. KPV turns down the inflammatory storm and helps calm the environment, especially in gut and skin models. Repair, remodel, calmer inflammatory environment, potential gut and skin benefits where inflammation is a big driver. Now, it all sounds good, right? I mean, why wouldn't you do a 4-in-1 instead of playing with 4 needles? Here's some pros and cons of mixing all 4 in one vial. The possible pros, why people like all-in-one blends? Well, there is convenience. 1 vial, 1 reconstitution, 1 daily draw. Easier adherence for people who would otherwise give up halfway through. Then there's the preset ratios. The KLOW example, per full daily dose, 2.5 milligrams of GHK-Copper, 500 micrograms of BPC 157, 500 micrograms of TB 500, 500 micrograms of KPV. For general regeneration and anti-aging research, those are fairly conservative middle-of-the-road amounts rather than blast doses. How about the theoretical synergy? Blood flow supply plus migration, cell movement plus remodeling, collagen, ECM plus inflammation control equals a nice coherent story at the mechanistic level. The possible cons, the trade-offs and concerns. First and foremost, you lose individual control. You cannot dial up BPC 157 for a specific tendon while keeping GHK-Copper low. You can't emphasize KPV for gut flare days without also increasing the copper dose. The ratio is locked in, which is fine for general maintenance, but not ideal for targeting specific problems. Then there is pH stability and peptide politics. Peptides are delicate. Different sequences and excipients can have different optimal pH ranges. There's a theoretical concern that mixing multiple peptides, especially with a reactive copper complex like GHK-Copper, could promote oxidation, increase aggregation, or partially inactivate one or more components over time. Some compounders claim to adjust formulation and add stabilizers to keep that in check, but that's very vendor specific and not usually backed by published head-to-head stability data. What about copper reactivity in the same syringe? Copper is a transition metal ion, very reactive. In theory, if you throw GHK-Copper into the same syringe with multiple other peptides and leave it sitting, you increase the chance for oxidation structural damage of other sequences. Some cautious clinicians prefer GHK-Copper separately and keep BPC, TB, and KPV in their own shots spaced out by time. So my take, staying in the theoretical lane. For broad general regeneration and anti-aging research in someone who's not trying to micromanage each molecule, a blend like KLOW can make sense on paper. For targeted work, specific tendon, specific gut protocol, specific cosmetic focus, many people prefer individual vials so they can titrate each peptide cycle one while staying on another, avoid potential stability issues. My anecdotal research and personal experience with KLOW. Now, let me tell you where I stand with all of this, because I know some of you are wondering whether I'm actually researching these peptides myself or just reading papers and talking about it. Fair question. I've been using the KLOW stack for about 4 weeks so far, and I plan to continue for another 2 to 4 weeks. I'm running it the way most people do, 5 days on, 2 days off. And to be honest, after the life I've lived, my body should probably look like a recalled appliance. I've done combat sports, worked as a bodyguard and bouncer, eaten absolute garbage for long stretches, skipped exercise like it was a religion, and years ago drank more than I should have. Haven't done that last one in over a decade, thankfully. Point is, I am extremely fortunate to not have any major injuries or disease, and I intend to keep it that way. So right now I'm researching KLOW mostly to deal with any micro injuries I may not notice. If it fixes things behind the scenes, great, because I probably wouldn't know either way. Systemic inflammation, gone, but that's from a lot of things working together. Eating cleaner whole foods, researching retatrutide, which goes above and beyond for metabolic healing. Researching MOTS-C to improve mitochondrial energy and replication. Using methylene blue and a variety of supportive compounds. In the last video, I called all of that my starter stack. But the real reason I'm running KLOW right now is for the GHK-Copper. Sure, I could have taken GHK alone, but this time I decided to go with the full KLOW blend. GHK is what interests me most because of everything I talked about earlier. Its role in gene expression, antioxidant pathways, mitochondrial support, tissue remodeling, and skin quality. Since dropping a significant amount of weight, I do have some loose skin. I know continued fat loss will help, but if I can improve the underlying cellular scaffolding while I'm finishing the cut, why not? As far as my personal research dosing, I'm using the standard ratios found in this blend, 50 milligrams GHK-Copper per vial, 10 milligrams each of BPC 157, TB 500, and KPV. I began with 2.5 milligrams of GHK-Copper for the first 2 days to ease in, then increased to 5 milligrams per day, maintaining the 5 on and 2 off schedule. A lot of people mention the injection sting with GHK-Copper. Personally, I'm not really experiencing it. Maybe the other 3 peptides soften the intensity, or maybe I'm just not being a baby about it. Hard to say. All right, that's the high-level breakdown. Wolverine, BPC 157 plus TB 500 for foundational repair. KLOW, NIS Wolverine plus GHK-Copper for remodeling and deeper regeneration signals. KLOW adds KPV to GLOW to calm inflammation and especially support gut-skin environments. All of it is theoretical, mostly based on preclinical and early stage data, plus a lot of anecdote. None of it replaces the fundamentals: sleep, protein, movement, sunlight, metabolic health. If you found this helpful and you want more deep dive, no BS peptide breakdowns, hit subscribe, drop a like, and comment below which stack you want me to dissect next: recovery, fat loss, brain, or longevity. The more engagement these videos get, the more time I can justify spending digging into the actual science for you. See you in the next one.